Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Paquette with the Mosby Heritage Area Association, and I'm coming to you today from Marshall, Virginia, and we're going to talk a little bit about the road to integration, what education was like here in the Heritage area before that 1954 Supreme Court case. So here in the Heritage area, public education really began in an organized way with the institution of the Freedmen's Bureau in 1865, when the Supreme Court created the Freedmen's Bureau, which not only provided education for area African Americans, but also connected them with job opportunities, housing, and other help along the way. Now, here in Fauquier County, the Freedmen's Bureau and the school associated with it were in Warrenton, Virginia, in the county seat. But there were many other communities throughout the county that were also endeavoring to build their own churches, build schools, etc. This was key to black communities, gaining their freedom, taking education into their own hands, and creating the next generation of American citizens here. Now, what we think of as public education, public schools, state-run schools, began shortly after that in 1870, when Virginia was admitted back into the Union with the Underwood Constitution. So that state constitution both ensured the ratification of the 14th and 15th Amendments, and also provided for public schooling across the state for all children regardless of race. And so that's when we see small one-room schoolhouses like the one behind me pop up around the Heritage area. This particular schoolhouse, number 18, was first constructed in 1887 here about a mile east of Marshall, and originally it was actually a whites-only school. For many years, black residents of Marshall took classes and entered school at the Salem Baptist Church in town. Now, in the early 20th century, a new white school was built in Marshall, and this schoolhouse was turned over to the black community. It's a really fascinating piece of local history, partially because you have the quintessential one-room schoolhouse, which would be shared by all grade levels. Inside is a potbelly stove. You have a blackboard. There's no bathroom, of course, on site. There was a privy outdoors, no running water, and for many years, no electricity. Now, this is very quintessential and very quaint for the 19th century, but conditions inside this schoolhouse and many other schools across Fauquier County did not improve over time. In fact, by the 1930s, this school, among the 31 schools for black children in Fauquier County, this was the only one with a blackboard still, because schoolhouses for the black residents were not outfitted at construction the way that the white schoolhouses were. Also, an interesting fact about schools in Fauquier County: there were many, many more college graduates teaching in the black schools compared to the white counterparts, which is fascinating, that education was still obviously very important to these communities. But despite the fact that the African American teachers were twice as likely to have a college degree, they were still paid about 30 to 50% less than their white counterparts. This school continued to be in use by black residents of Marshall from 1907 all the way until 1964. So still about 10 years after the decision, Brown v. Board, schools were not integrated. And in fact, we had many instances of massive resistance is the term that was used. Resistance to full integration. There was kind of token integration in some places. Fauquier County in 1964 had about 170 students that were integrated out of 2,000 black students in the county. And so this became kind of a calling card for the educational disparity that you would see not just here in Fauquier, but throughout the Heritage area and throughout the state.